these people we keep hearing from, who chase Barry Weiss out of the New York Times, who chase Suzanne Moore out of the Guardian in the UK, who cry when they learn that a new Jordan Peterson book is going to be published and pay their salary the next year. This is a generational thing, and I don't know at this stage that we can say it's completely a political movement. It's some kind of counter-revolution that has been going on. It believes, as you know, that speech is harm and harm is not harm, that silence is violence and violence is fine. It has a set of mantras, and I simply think it won't stop until it hits the reality of this life. It seems to me that something very wrong has happened with your media, not just the broadcast media, but the print media. I don't want to get stuck on it, but I mean, every country I know about, I know the New York Times can prove that it's lying. So I can't read it, because any country I don't know very much about, I would assume that they're lying, but I wouldn't know exactly how. So you've got a very deep problem in your legacy media, and obviously a lot of people have been pointing that out for a long time. And I wonder now if Trump does go, those papers and magazines will be in want of an enemy. And often, as you know, that's the worst thing for a person is if they lose their enemy. But yes, we don't have that media problem. The problem we do all have, it seems to me, and you've written about this, as you know about it as well as anyone, is that people have become very bad at listening to a contrary opinion. And that is, I think that's going to prove to be a generational thing. That there just is, I speak 24 hours after the news came out of Jordan Peterson's publishers in Canada, that there'd been wailing, gnashing of teeth, actual tears at the staff meeting when some employees of it's Penguin, isn't it? Penguin Random House. That some of the employees of Penguin discovered that they were going to publish another book next year by a man who's actually earned them their salaries.
Quite literally, by the way. He sold probably about 7 million copies last I heard. So he floats, in many ways, the entire ability for them to choose all these other books that aren't going to do quite as well.
Yeah. It's only because of him that they can publish the sort of intersectional fictional teen list. These people we keep hearing from, who chase Barry Weiss out of the New York Times, who chase Suzanne Moore out of the Guardian in the UK, who cry when they learn that a new Jordan Peterson book is going to be published and pay their salary the next year. This is a generational thing, and I don't know at this stage that we can say it's completely a political movement. It's some kind of counter-revolution that has been going on. It believes, as you know, that speech is harm and harm is not harm, that silence is violence and violence is fine. It has a set of mantras, and I simply think it won't stop until it hits the reality of this life. I don't know when that'll happen. I just hope it happens very, very soon. I think that everybody who cried at the meeting, I said this morning on social media, everybody who cried at the meeting and said that they didn't want to be at the publishing house that published Jordan Peterson, bang, sacked, out. Yep. Next morning, your job is advertised. So many smart young men and women should be in the publishing business and have a very, very good reason to be so, and could be excellent in their chosen profession. And they're not, because these people who have no right to be in a publishing house are in it, and clogging up and making everyone stupider. And so these people, there has to be felt. We have to make sure that media companies and others are not held hostage by the stupidest, youngest, most ignorant people in the room.
But is the biggest problem there that these companies, once they fall under the spell, I mean, you wrote a book about this, but once they fall under the spell, they bring in the diversity and inclusion department, their HR department is teaching people to watch out for white supremacism and all of these things. Thus, they destroy their own entities. I'm completely with you, and I run businesses. If I had employees that were upset with me over my decision making, goodbye, that's it. But isn't that the bigger problem, that once you've let this thing in many ways, you're the very people. You let the bad guys in, and now they're in the house running around.
Yes.
And what can you do?
Well, what you can do is to reassert your rights as an adult. What I see everywhere in America in particular is the complete retreat of the adults. Let me give you an example. I'm sure you've heard many times. Thankfully, nobody has actually said it to my face, or they'd have it coming to them. But I have heard a lot of people told in recent years, educate yourself. Everybody who says, educate yourself, in my observation, is without exception the dimmest person I have seen speaking. They have no right to go around being the stupidest person in the room, telling everyone else to educate themselves. They don't mean educate yourself. They mean agree with me or else. Well, here's a suggestion. The adults say no. You do not know anything. You're 23. You've got a totalistic view of the universe that you're going to discover quite soon at some point in your life is wildly wrong. And you are making yourself unemployable. Here is your unemployment form. Your job's up for advert tomorrow. That's what the adults have to do. I'm fed up, by the way, of sort of CEOs and heads of companies and all sorts of things. Ever since the madness of crowds came out, I find that they sidle up to me, they whisper up to me and tell me that this is what they have. And I'm fed up with the whisperers and the sidlers. I'm fed up with the adults, the people at the tops of their careers, all of whom are bowing down. It's like that video that went viral the other day of this. You saw this weird LGBTQI plus kiddie thing?
Yeah. The kid-based,
They're bowing down and worshipping the new God thing, which is the stupidest person in the room. And I'm not up for the opportunity cost societally that involves. And I think nobody else should be either. And I'm fed up of the grousing. I'm fed up of conservatives grousing about it.
But this is the stuff that we've been talking about for years. So it is nice. You and I and many other people, we write books about these things. We can write columns. We can do shows about it and all of that stuff. And then we get what I think you just said is the most frustrating part, which is people at companies and people in their own private lives who are just still simply afraid to do anything. So then they'll, oh, Douglas, I loved your book, but I don't want to take a picture with you, or something like that. Like you're still too out there and too scary. That in many ways is the most frustrating part, don't you think?
Well, I think they usually love photos of me. Anyway, no.
They just don't want to post them on Facebook.
No, what I find is that they don't realize that what they are bringing in is mental and moral asbestos. They don't realize that it's toxic to everyone in the atmosphere who has to breathe it. The job of the adults is to strip the moral and mental asbestos from the building as fast as possible. And if that means stripping a whole load of under 30s out, then fine. There are a lot of very smart under 30s who could fill those positions and would do a great and nobler job at it. But it is absolutely incumbent upon people, as you know, it's what I argue in The Madness of Crowds, to understand that that is what we are dealing with. Once you play the diversity and equity game, you are infusing the lungs of your employees with this asbestos, and you have to get it out now.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.